Today, we'll be making a shaker greeting card. It's a super simple project and it's perfect for the holiday season. So if you're ready, let's get started. Before you start this project, make sure you grab this bag from the library. You can get that on the second floor at the reference desk, and inside you'll find these. A patterned piece of rectangular paper has a score line on the other side for folding. Another piece of paper with a window cut out of it, a square piece of mylar, a small plastic container with stars and other glittery bits, and a thin strip of cardboard, 3 pieces of foam tape, and then at home you should also have some Elmer's glue, or any other kind of glue, a pair of scissors, and optionally you can also bring a pencil. So for our first step, we are going to separate these objects, and you want to grab the little piece of cardboard out of your plastic container. Set that aside. For this step, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using the cardboard to spread glue onto our paper and apply the mylar window. So you don't want to put too much glue onto the paper. It'll get very messy very quickly. So as you can see here, I'm only putting a tiny bit of glue on each side and being very careful not to overload the paper. Once I have the glue applied, I'm going to use my little piece of cardboard to evenly spread it around. We want the mylar to adhere without any bubbles or weird bumps, so the best way to do that is to make sure that the glue is nice and even on all of the sides of this little window. So once you've done that, you're going to grab your piece of mylar and you're going to lay the paper flat on the table, put your mylar on top, make sure the edges are aligned, and then gently press down to adhere the mylar to the piece of paper. You want to grab it and inspect it to make sure that all the edges are lined up correctly, and then leave it aside to dry. So for this next step, you want to make sure before you start that your mylar window is nice and attached. Mine looks good, so I'm going to start measuring this foam tape and line it up from the top to the bottom of the side of the paper window, and you just want to do a little score line on the bottom with a fingernail or a pencil like I did. Once you have it lined up, you can cut that little piece out, and just be aware foam tape can be a little difficult to cut. I cut this other piece a little earlier to save on prep time, but as you can see, both are the exact right size. So I'm going to peel off the tape backing on one side, and I'm going to adhere it to our little paper window. And then I'm going to do that with the other piece and make sure that they both look good. So for this next step, I'm just going to take what's left of the foam tape and line the other side to the window. As you can see here, it's a little too long, so I'm going to take my pencil, measure it out, and then cut off that overhanging piece. Now it fits really well in the middle there. So I'm going to take off the backing again and stick it down. And then I'm going to do that one more time at the bottom of the window. Again, it's a little too long, so I had to cut it, and then I was able to put it. You don't want any spaces here at the bottom because ultimately our glitter bits and stars are going to go in here, and if there is a hole at the bottom of the window, they're all going to fall through. So I'm pressing all of these down. They look good. Alright, so the last step here is to fill in what's left of the paper on the bottom. When we adhere the card backing to this, we don't want any spaces left because it'll make like a weird dent. So we're just going to fill it up with what's left of the foam tape. So you can do it however you want. The way I'm doing it, I'm just marking out little bits of measured tape, and I'll be cutting up these pieces individually, so I have a bunch of them. And then I'm just going to peel off the backing on each and keep filling in until as much of the space is covered as possible. So it doesn't look super pretty from this side, but trust me, when we're done, it'll look great. So for these last steps, again, it's going to look pretty ugly on the back here, but don't worry, we're going to cover that up soon, and all you'll be able to see is that nice front. So you want to grab your piece of pattern paper and your fun little container of stars, and you're going to start peeling off the last bits of tape cover on the foam tape. I prefer to do this before adding the glittery bits, just because I feel like if you have all the glittery bits already in there and you're peeling off the tape, it might be easy to, accidentally knock a few out. So once you have all the tape backing pulled off, pour your stars and beads onto the Mylar window and spread them around. You want to flatten them out so that when you put the pattern piece of paper on there, there aren't any bumps or ridges you have to worry about. So once you're happy with how they lay, grab your piece of pattern paper and fold it along the score line. Make sure to pinch the edges and just straighten it so it's nice and tight like that. And then once it's folded, you want to pick it up and turn it so that it's facing left, or the opening is facing left, so you're going to open it to the right. Once you have it like that, you're going to line it up along the edges of the foam tape and gently press down on all of the sides, and then also in the middle. Don't want any of those glittery bits falling through again. So once it feels like it's pretty adhered, you are done. So fold it over and there you go. There's your Shake Your greeting card. Pretty cool, right?